What's up, guys? John here, and welcome to Baltimore Retro Gaming. And guys, in the tradition of this channel of Baltimore Retro Gaming, I'm going to bring to you another Genesis shooter. I know, right? Surprise, surprise. But guess what, guys? What's better than Thunder Force 3? That's right, Thunder Force 4, or as we know it in the United States, Lightning Force. On the Sega Genesis, let's check it out. Okay guys, so this is my copy of Lightning Force, and guys, I know what you're thinking, like John, all you're showing us are Genesis games, especially Genesis shooters. John, why are you showing us so many Genesis shooters? And to you I say, look man, I can't help it. Every day I'm finding these Genesis shooters, or I'm hearing about a new Genesis game. I probably got about 30 or 40 more games I want to share to you guys, so I'm just in love with the Sega Genesis. It's such an awesome console. If you don't know, you gotta find out, man. I love the Genesis. But this is my copy of Lightning Force. And guess what? I did not print cover art for this game, but there is no manual. But the cart, guys, the cart for this game is clean. I mean, the box is clean, the cart's clean, there is no manual. But it was only 40 bucks, and you know, $40 for an awesome shooter is a deal in my eyes. So I don't mind kicking the money out. But yeah, this isn't a repro cover. I did not print this cover art. This is 100% original, and this is my copy of Lightning Force. Oh my God, how about that intro, right? That music is on point. So guys, I've been finding Thunder Force games, you know, for the Genesis, you know, lately. I found two of them actually. But I've had a couple other Thunder Force games for quite a few years, and I always wondered, you know, when did Thunder Force 1 come out? So just a little bit of quick trivia for you guys. So Thunder Force 1 actually came out in 1983. It was only in Japan, and it came out on the X1, the PC 8801, and the FM7. But the series didn't actually take off till they debuted Thunder Force 2 on the Genesis. And while the series was on the Genesis, that's when it gained all of its traction. So now let's turn to Wikipedia and learn some random facts about Lightning Force, or if you're in PAL territories or Japan, Thunder Force 4. So Thunder Force 4, or known in North America as Lightning Force Quest for the Dark Star, is a shoot-'em-up video game developed and published by Technosoft for the Mega Drive, or the Sega Genesis, in 1992. It is the fourth installment in the Technosoft's Thunder Force series, and the third and final one created for the Mega Drive. It was developed by the team at Technosoft that ported Devil's Crush to the Mega Drive, rather than the team that developed the previous Thunder Force games. Like its predecessors, it is a horizontally scrolling shooter, but also features extensive vertically scrolling with large playing fields. So it goes on here to say in Wikipedia that the game was considered by journalists as one of the best shooters for the Mega Drive when it launched. Critics especially praised the game's graphics, including the vertical and parallax scrolling, for illustrating the immense environments. Some believe that underneath the graphical sheen, the gameplay was relatively average, however. Now, Thunder Force 4 was released for the Sega Saturn in 1996 and ported to the Nintendo Switch in 2018. Now, when I popped this game in my Sega Genesis, the first thing that I noticed is I do believe, I could be wrong about this because I'm not the best speller, but I think Lightning Force is misspelled on the cartridge, on the game, and on the packaging, so yeah, whatever. That does not deter me from this game, you know, whatsoever. You know, when I first popped the game in, you know, that opening, I wanted you guys to hear that opening music, kind of like the intro to the game, because it's like heavy metal. And the only thing that could make it better is if it had CD quality sound, you know, instead of like the chip tunes and stuff like that. But either way, the intro to this game is totally awesome. Now, something that I found a little bit weird, now everywhere else in the world, you know, Japan, PAL territories, I'm sure wherever else this game came out, they called it Thunder Force 4, and over here in the United States, they called it Lightning Force. Now, that doesn't bother me, the Lightning Force, or the misspelling of the game. That stuff doesn't bother me. But I see how that can get kind of confusing, you know, just like the Final Fantasies, how they came out over in Japan and over here in the United States. You know, it would have been kind of cool to keep it uniform, especially over here in the United States, and just call the game Thunder Force 4. I mean, Thunder Force 2 came out here and it was called Thunder Force 2, and Thunder Force 3 came out here and it was Thunder Force 3. So why call Thunder Force 4 Lightning Force? But that's not really even a gripe. That's just something that I'm pointing out. So I guess the first thing that I'm going to point out or talk about with the game is the graphics. Now, these graphics are really, really good, and this is yet another game that really pushes, at least in my opinion, the limitations of the Sega Genesis. The parallax scrolling in this game is absolutely insane, and I actually played this on a 60-inch television. I don't recommend doing that. You know, keep your older 16-bit games on a smaller screen, but my goodness, you know, playing this game in RGB on a big, huge screen with that parallax scrolling, like, it almost gives you like the impression of like 3D. And the way that, you know, that with the parallax scrolling, like in this game, like there's stuff that comes in front of you, behind you, and it's not really confusing, and it's not really like hard to see like enemy bullet fire or anything like that. But man, the parallax scrolling, it really immerses you in this game, and it's pretty good. You know, it's actually excellent in my opinion. So the developers, they really knew how to work on the Sega Genesis and develop for it at the time this game came out. And I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% sure, but this might have been a later release, at least here in the United States. I'm not totally sure, because, you know, comparing this up to other early Sega titles, you know, the controls in this game are on point. And, you know, when I play, you know, a game like Last Battle or like an early Sega Genesis game, you know, they just do not look as sharp as a game like Lightning Force in any type of way. But I'm glad they were able to, just like any system, really, you know, get their claws in it and figure out how to develop for it and actually publish all these awesome games. Okay, so now let's talk about the difficulty in this game. As with any shooter, if it's too easy, it's not that fun. If it's too hard, it makes you want to blow your brains out. This game is somewhere in between, and that's good for a shooter because, you know, if it's too hard, you know, someone new to the genre or new to that game, it's going to turn them off. It turns me off when I die every 3 seconds. I at least want to have some kind of fun with the game. So, when I brought this game home, the first thing I did was I busted out my Game Genie. And I could not find any codes for it. If you guys know of any codes, let me know in the comments below. I would love to find out about them. The only code I could find was like, it was something that didn't even have anything to do with the game. It was like you type in a code to see like the end credits, or it was just something like that, or maybe a gallery. You know, nothing that changed the difficulty of the game whatsoever. So I was super bummed about that because I love using the Game Genie on new shooters. That way, even if I'm dying left and right, I can still complete the game, experience it, and then go and really try to play the game it's supposed to be played. You know, that's just like the way I like to do things, so I can learn enemy bullet fire, I can see the game, experience it, and talk to you guys about it. But that wasn't the case, or so I thought. You know, there's no Game Genie code, so I was bummed out, but I didn't let that deter me. And then I looked online for cheat codes, and luckily there's a cheat code. As soon as you turn the game on, don't hit any buttons. You know, let the opening screen roll, and then as soon as the start screen, or as soon as it says press start, you hit start and A at the same time. And then it's going to take you to like a little menu where you can change the, like reconfigure the controller, difficulty, you know, stuff like that. What you want to do is you want to set your number of ships. You know, once you hit A and start and you go to that menu screen, you scroll down to where it says number of ships or ships in stock or whatever, and you actually put that on 0. You set that to 0 ships. And then when you start the game, you got 99 lives, and when you die in this game, thank God you don't restart at a checkpoint. You know, you just keep on moving and trucking, and because of that, I was actually able to beat this game. Now, there's another cheat code, and you can look this up online. You know, anytime you die in this game, you lose your weapon. At least you lose the weapon that you were playing with, unless it's your regular cannon or your regular shot. So there's another cheat code that you can actually restock all your weapons. You know, if you're using the Hunter, which is the best weapon in the game, you know, the heat sinking gun. If you're using the Hunter, you can put that cheat code in to get all your weapons back, which is totally awesome. And there is a shield And there's also those little like pods that spin around your ship that kind of like increase the spread of bullets that you fire out. Both those are good, but if you put in that cheat code, you lose those until you find them again. I actually really like the shield in this game because it can take quite a few hits, and it works really well if you're actually not using any cheat codes at all. But either way, it was good to have it, even with the 99 lives cheat. Now, when it comes to a lot of these shooters, the difficulty of the bosses that you fight play a large role in the game, and if you're going to complete it. Now, the way the bosses are in this game compared to Thunder Force 3 is a little bit different. In Thunder Force 3, you kind of got to look for a weak spot on the enemy and just pound that weak spot with your fire, and you can kill the enemy quite quick. This game's a little bit different, so they really make you put in work on this game. Now, the bosses in this game take longer, if not just as long as actually completing the levels itself. And I'm not talking about the mini bosses that are in the middle of some of the stages. I'm talking about the end bosses. So you really need to learn the pattern, the enemy bullet fire patterns in this game. Luckily for this game, they're not too hard to figure out, even on some of the harder difficulties. But, that 99 lives cheat works really, really well when you're trying to figure out those enemy, the patterns and stuff like that. That 99 lives code, that saved me. That actually made me complete the game, 99 lives. And I think when I finished the game, I actually had 25 lives left. So I was I was pretty proud about that. But yeah, the enemies in this game, they take a lot longer. And sometimes it's weird, compared to Thunder Force 3 when the enemies blink when you hit them. Sometimes they don't blink in this game. So I thought when I first played it that maybe certain enemies take more damage depending on which weapon that you use. And that may be the case, but I'm not 100% sure. If you know anything about that, please let me know in the comments below. I would love to learn about it. Now, replay value. All shooters have a lot of replay value, but this one does something interesting. When you first start the game, you kind of have like a level select screen where you can choose a level by hitting like up, down, left, and right. And you can always kind of mix up at least the first 4 levels. I do believe there's 9 or 10 levels in this game and then an end boss. But, being able to kind of choose or configure those first 4 levels, you can kind of get the feel for what's easy, what's hard. You can knock the hard stuff out of the way first and then do the easy levels. It gives you a little bit of, it mixes stuff up when you first start out this game, which I feel like is pretty cool. Now, as far as the weapons go, there's no screen clearing bombs in this game, but it is a Thunder Force game, so you do have a variety of, 5 or 6 different weapons. The one that you really want to use, and the one that I'm going to talk about, is the Hunter, the heat-seeking shot. That's going to be like 90% of what you use in this game, but, Thunder Force game, tons of different weapons, totally awesome game. And guys, I say this about a lot of Sega Genesis games, but trust me when I tell you, this game is a must-own. Okay, so guys, Lightning Force, you copping or what? So I feel like this is a solid investment. Honestly, this is one of the best shooters on the Genesis. I know I say that about all the games, but this one, honestly, this is like top 3 or top 4 right here. It's really, really good. Now, if you want a copy of Lightning Force or Thunder Force 4 if you're in PAL regions or in Japan, and the import copies of Thunder Force 4 are a little bit cheaper, but I'm just strictly talking about Lightning Force right now. If you want a loose cart copy of Lightning Force, it's probably online anyway. It's probably going to cost you right around $30 to $40. If you want a copy in this condition, just boxed, you can find it for right around $60 online. So it looks like I got a deal. Now, if you're Mr. Completionist and you need that manual, get ready to spend right around $80 to $90. And my goodness, I do feel like this game is worth that. It's so good. But God, I can't buy games on eBay. I buy games online. I buy them from Strictly Limited Run, Play Asia. I'll deal with those online retailers because you actually get them cheaper with retail, which is pretty cheap on those games. But man, the eBay prices on this stuff, my goodness, I'm a poor guy. I own a little rinky-dink t-shirt shop in White Marsh, Maryland. I don't have a whole lot of money. And if I was forced to pay these online prices for video games, my God, I probably wouldn't have 90 or 95% of the stuff that I have, all that crazy shit in my collection, man. But I will say, to make an exception on this game, if you're like me and you don't buy a lot of games online or on eBay or whatever, make an exception for this because, loose cart, $40. I mean, that's totally worth it just to play this game, And, I buy a lot of games card only now, guys, because I'm sick and tired of passing up awesome game. Like, I could have had a copy of Musha. God, I could have had a copy of Musha for $80 a few months ago. But guess what? It wasn't complete. So I said no. And now I'm kicking myself in the ass for it because, like, fuck, I want a copy of Musha. Like, that's another thing, guys. If you got a copy of Musha, definitely let me know. I'll trade whatever for it, If you got it complete, I'll trade a copy of Panzer Dragoon Saga for it. That's how bad I want that game. So let me know if you want Panzer Dragoon Saga and you got a complete copy of Musha. I'll straight up trade you, especially if you're local. That way we can do hand-to-hand. But, yeah, guys, definitely look out for Lightning Force if you see it anywhere, loose cart, complete, whatever. This game rocks. It is totally awesome. And, I definitely say this is a must-own if you have a Sega Genesis. And one other thing, guys, if you have a copy of Thunder Force 5 for the PS1, let me know. I'll buy it. If it's a reasonable price, I'll buy it. I'll trade for it, whatever. If the price is reasonable, because, I need that game on the PS1. And, again, if it's just loose disc, I don't care. Thunder Force 5 was one of the games that Working Designs released on the PS1. And, I could hit the buy it now on eBay, but really trying not to do that. But I really do want a copy of Thunder Force 5. So if anyone has an extra copy, let me know, reach out to me, and we can work something out. And if you guys want any of my crazy t-shirts that I wear on the channel, check out my Instagram, Baltimore Retro Gaming. I post designs. The $25 pretty much shipped anywhere in the world. Some places I got to charge a little extra if you're somewhere like real obscure. But again, we'll work something out. Guys, remember to like this video. Remember to subscribe to the channel. Until next time, peace out.